Hey everyone, thanks for watching the Cardboard Dungeons X-Wing ship reviews. My name is Pat, and I am looking at the Special Forces TIE expansion pack for X-Wing in this video. This, of course, is the ship that Poe Dameron and Finn made their escape aboard in The Force Awakens. Now, it does look a lot like the TIE FO that we've seen before. It is a little bit bulkier in the cockpit and around the wings. And, of course, the main notable thing in terms of game mechanics is that this is the first small ship that we've seen that has a rear-facing auxiliary firing arc. Now, it's not the first ship that we're going to see. There's one more in Wave 9, but this is the first one I've reviewed. Now, if you're not familiar, the rear-facing arc works the same way as the forward firing arc. When you're making primary weapon attacks only, you can choose to fire out of the rear arc. Now, secondary weapons like missiles and torpedoes still have to be fired through the front-facing arc, but it does open up your attack options quite a bit. Now let's jump right into the maneuver dial for this ship. Right away we can see there's a lot more red on here than we're used to seeing on a TIE fighter. That's because this TIE fighter is a bit slower than your standard TIE, and we're going to see that reflected in its agility value here too. But you can see that the speed 1 and speed 3 turns are red, and it can't go speed 5, it stops at speed 4, but it does have all 3 turns, has all 3 banks, and straights from speeds 1 through 4. And then we also get Segnor's Loop, the 180-degree turnaround that uses the bank template at speed 3. And no K-turn for this ship, so if you want to do a quick turnaround, you're going to have to do that Segnor's Loop. Now, over on the stat line for this ship, we can see an attack value of 2. Now, it's worth pointing out that's a soft 2, because we're going to see the title for this ship, which costs 0 points. And it really does effectively make this a 3, at least when you're firing forward. So we'll see that in a minute here. Agility of 2, 3 hull, and 3 shields. So definitely a little easier to hit than a standard TIE, but harder to take out. 3 hull and 3 shields on this ship. Now on the action bar, we've got focus, target lock, and barrel roll. And down on the upgrade bar, we can see these ships can take systems upgrade, a missile, and a tech upgrade. Notable here that there is no crew slot on this ship, even though in the movie we clearly saw that it's a 2-seater. So it probably should have a crew slot, but I gotta think that the designers made the decision to skip having that for game balance reasons. There's probably some broken combos, or it just wouldn't be worth the point cost if they put it on there, who knows. But no crew slot for this ship, even though it really should have one. All right, now let's jump into the pilots here. The top pilot for the TIE Special Forces fighter is Quick Draw, pilot skill of 9 and 29 points. So Darth Vader and Soontir Fel now have another ace who has a pilot skill of 9 that can fly with them in your Imperial Aces builds. Once per round, when you lose a shield token, you may perform a primary weapon attack. Now note the wording there, once per round. It does not specify that it has to be in combat. So you can actually make an attack with Quick Draw during the activation phase, and it's really easy to do. Now I know in the previews for this ship, they talked about intentionally flying through asteroids to take a damage, possibly as a 50-50 chance of taking damage, you might not. But if you do take damage, and you set yourself up for a shot, you get a free shot in the activation phase. But it's actually easier than that. Depending on what upgrades you put on the ship, you can force a damage on yourself to get that free attack. And then, of course, you get your normal attack during combat as well. So anything that gives you stress, combined with the system upgrade Electronic Baffle that came in the Mist Hunter expansion. So Push the Limit, Rage, 2 good examples of elite upgrades that give you stress. And then Electronic Baffle, which is 1 point, and it says when you receive a stress token or ion token, you may suffer 1 damage to discard that token. So that feeds into Quick Draw's ability. So you push the limit, you get your 2 actions, or you use Rage, which is an action that gives you focus, and then you take 2 stress tokens, and then you get some free rerolls until the end of the round. Either one of those is a really good choice here, I think. And then Electronic Baffle gives you the damage, and then you immediately make your free shot. And I like that you can kind of control the damage. It's only 1 damage to yourself. Of course, the Imperials don't really have any way to regenerate shields at this point in the game. So at most you're going to be able to make use of Quick Draw's ability 3 times during the game. But depending on how you take advantage of it, if you can get yourself into range 1, if you can fire in the activation phase, super important, of course, because if the target has a lower pilot skill than you, or you have initiative against another 9, it means that you're going to be firing on an enemy ship that hasn't activated yet, so it has no tokens. It's going to be at its most vulnerable. So very cool ability, and I think it's going to take some skill to maximize, get the most advantage out of it, but I really like this guy. It'll be interesting to see how people outfit him to use that ability. All right, next up we have Backdraft. Pilot skill of 7, 27 points. He can take an elite upgrade as well. When attacking a ship inside your auxiliary firing arc, you may add 1 critical result. So this is very cool. This is great. It's like Darth Vader's ability that he has when he's got the advanced targeting computer and a target lock, except you don't need any of that. You just need to be firing out of your rear arc. So very good, and it gives you a good reason to line up those shots out of the rear firing arc. I like it a lot. And now we've got the first of 2 non-unique pilots, Zeta Specialist. 5 pilot skill, 25 points, and can take an elite upgrade. And finally, Zeta Specialist. 3 pilot skill and 23 points. No elite upgrade for this guy. So we see this TIE fighter is fairly expensive for the TIE class ships. 23 points at the low end, all the way up to 29 points at the top end. But for what you pay, you definitely get a beefier TIE fighter with some decent upgrade abilities. Now jumping into the upgrade cards here. First we see a repeat wired an elite upgrade that came in the Force Awakens core set. It costs 1 point. When attacking or defending, if you are stressed, you may re-roll 1 or more of your focus results. Next, we've got a brand new system upgrade, Collision Detector. It is 0 points. When performing a boost, barrel roll, or decloak, your ship and maneuver template can overlap obstacles. When rolling for obstacle damage, ignore all critical results. That's interesting. I like that it's free, so if you don't have the points or don't really want to take a system upgrade on your ship, which is unusual, system upgrades are almost always desirable. So if you have a ship with a system upgrade, you're probably building it with something in mind. But if not, or if you want, just to have a little more freedom when you're barrel rolling, boosting, decloaking, so you're not hemmed in by asteroids against skillful pilots, they're often going to deploy their blockers to get blocker on one side and asteroid on the other side and hem you in so you can't decloak, you can't barrel roll. This can get you out of sticky situations and reduce the chances of taking damage for hitting an obstacle by letting you ignore the critical results on the die roll. Okay, next we've got a brand new tech upgrade, and that's exciting because we haven't seen too many of these yet in the game. The tech slot was just introduced with the Force Awakens core set last year. Sensor cluster costs 2 points, and it says when defending, you may spend a focus token to change one of your blank results to an evade result. And that's very cool. That's excellent, especially for this ship, which only has 2 agility. So if you want to get a little better defense on it, you got to hold on to focus, of course, but basically it's going to give you 1 free evade result on your defense roll. So very nice. I like that a lot. All right, and finally we've got the title. TIE SF only, 0 points. When attacking with a primary weapon from your primary firing arc, you may roll 1 additional attack die. If you do not, you may perform an additional attack from your auxiliary firing arc. So this is why I said that the attack value was basically a 3 if you want it to be. If you're firing forward, you can roll 3 dice. If you choose to only roll 2 dice, this is how I read this. Now, I know there's a little bit of debate, and we're going to wait for the FAQ, I think, but how I'm reading this is that you make an attack out of your primary arc. You can roll 3 dice if you want to. If you don't, and you only roll the 2 dice, then you can perform a second attack out of the auxiliary arc. Now, some people are arguing that it means that You can fire out of the auxiliary arc and then fire again out of the auxiliary arc because you didn't add 3 dice to the forward arc. But I read it as you need to make a primary firing arc attack. So fire forward with only 2 dice, and then you can fire backwards with 2 dice. This title is excellent with Backdraft because this, I mean, basically he's rolling 3 dice out the front, or you can fire out the back and get that free critical. So essentially 3 dice, you know, potential 3 hits out of either arc for that guy. And it's free, so it's an auto include, really. And we're going to see that also on another ship in this wave, the Arc 170, an auto include title. And pretty much what this is it's kind of like a little bit of clerical cleanup, because there's no easy way in the game for them to say, hey, this ship has 3 attack when you're firing out of the primary arc, but less than that when you're firing out of an auxiliary arc. In order, if they wanted to do that, they'd have to change the layout on the cards and the ship template in order to specify that. So they're going to put it on this title instead, which I think is an elegant solution. There's no reason that you wouldn't ever put this title on this ship, because it costs you nothing. And in fact, that says to me that it's got to be costed into the point cost of the ships that you have this already. So really, if you don't take the title for some reason, which I can't imagine why you wouldn't, you're really paying too much for the ship, because the cost of rolling 3 dice out the front, or making a 2 dice forward attack and a 2 dice rear facing attack, has to already be taken into account. So, all right, there it is, the Special Forces TIE. Now, do I like this ship? I think it's interesting. I think it's got some really great pilots with great abilities. I'm not 100% sold on it because I'm not sure that it's going to do anything in a squad that the Imperials already don't have a ship that might be able to do better. Now, they don't have a small ship with a rear-facing arc, of course, so that's definitely going to be interesting, and I'm looking forward to playing it. It is my least favorite ship in Wave 9, I will say that. I think that every other ship in this wave is more interesting and brings more to the table and does, you know, cooler things and better things. It is another TIE fighter, and we already have a ton of TIE fighters for the Imperials. So, like, visually, thematically, it's not super exciting to me. But maybe it'll play out a little bit differently. I mean, I am looking forward to putting this into ace build and seeing how it stacks up with the likes of Soontir Fel and the Inquisitor and Darth Vader and Omega Leader and these other 3 ace builds that we're seeing. I mean, it definitely gives you another option for that. And like I said, the pilots are great. I think both of the unique pilots have amazing abilities. The title is really good. It is a good ship. But is it going to be competitive at the top levels of play? I'm not sure about that. I guess we will wait and see. My guess is going to be that it will do well in certain lists. Of course, with the shuttle with Palpatine and 2 aces, it's going to be good just because those lists are great, almost no matter which aces you have. But we'll see if it's going to find a place in there, if it's going to bump Vader or the Inquisitor or one of those guys out of some of those lists permanently for a while. But anyways, all right, as always, thanks for watching the Cardboard Dungeon, and we'll see you next time.